Today, Azimio leader Raila Odinga had a very interesting press conference. Indeed, the word for it is explosive. Because in this press conference, Raila Odinga exposed to Kenya what really happened over the exams that were done by our children this year. Now, before we go any further, I have seen some Kenyans take this thing very lightly. The exam had many loopholes and malpractice. It is not such a big deal. It is not that important. And if I can put it in the words of one comment I saw, on a forum discussing this latest development, somebody said, "So what? Raila will never become president." Now, that is what I call chicken thinking. Because you think it is a joke until somebody who has cheated their way through exams, gone through exams because of loopholes and big messes like the big mess in this year's exams. You may not want to laugh when that person turns up as your doctor, or even better, your surgeon. Yeah, they need to operate on you, and they're not qualified. Why? Because all their papers are fake. And by the way, this is not far-fetched. We have had cases of doctors operating on patients and they forget things inside there. Yeah, cotton wool, even scalpels. What? Or somebody fakes their way through maths exams, etc., etc., and he becomes your pilot on your next flight out of Kenya. Think about it. This thing is very serious. And it is even more serious because Raila revealed to us that the big mess started when people started fighting over the tender to print the exams. Yani, the greed in this government is unprecedented. Even during the Moi days, yeah, the tenderpreneurs stayed out of exams. Well, now there are no boundaries. God Almighty help Kenya. And if you still think this thing is not serious, imagine those kids who have worked very hard, yeah, sat for the exams, done well in the exams, but their results have been mixed up with somebody else's. So basically, their future is messed up. Why didn't these tenderpreneurs stick to petroleum, edible oils, even if it is poison? Those ones, according to me, are better. It is even better to poison people. But to mess up with the education of children, to mess up completely with their future, to mess up with the destinies of young Kenyans, I have no words for that. Now, apparently what happened is that the person who normally prints the exams, a UK-based company, was stopped from printing those exams. Why? Because they refused to bribe people. No other reason. And so something crazy happened. The exam had to be retrieved. Yeah, the exam already delivered to the United Kingdom had to be retrieved from the UK, brought back to Kenya. Yeah, and of course the company which was given the contract to print the exams did not have the capacity. And therefore they were forced to subcontract the job. And they found a printing company in India. Yeah, printing in India is cheap. And so those exams, after being transported from the UK to Kenya, yeah, you just think of all the loopholes, all the possible places people would have gotten a peek at those exams, yeah, and even sold them to interested parties. And then from Kenya, they were transported to India, printed, and then transported back to Kenya. And of course this time, minus all the stringent security measures usually put in by the UK specialist security printers who normally do these exams. And don't forget, it must have cost the government something to snatch away the job from the UK printers, because they had already committed, they had already planned ahead to do the job. Then you come at the 11th hour and take it away from them. There has to be an expense there. Yeah, and it can't be a small expense. Hey. And the greed did not stop there. People within the Kenya Kwanza government also wanted to control the transmission of the exam results. You know, through the usual SMS channel, where you send an SMS to a certain number with the index number, and you get the results of that candidate texted back to you. They had to mess with that one. And the company which was given that contract did not have the capacity. And therefore we had a situation whereby the results you receive on text are not the same results which are at the school and at the exam council portal. Hey, what? You know, somebody on this channel blew the whistle very early because there's some very strange, dodgy things happening. For instance, in one school, all the students got exactly the same mark in a certain subject. A mathematical impossibility. Yeah. Or they were all doing the exam together. But now, as it turns out, it had something to do with the mess up in the data handling of the results of this exam. Now, the kind of mess which this has put the country into is just an impossible situation. What do you do? Those students can't repeat the exams. Yeah, that is asking too much, and the expense would be too high. So how do you make good? How? When so many students right across the country don't have results that they believe are their own. Of course, there are several schools and individuals who have gone to court. But imagine those students from poor families, stuck somewhere in a remote area within the country called Kenya. They don't have the means or the resources to seek redress. And therefore, hiyo imeenda. And that is so sad. That is their whole future gone. What kind of frustrated Kenyan will that child grow up to be? Can you imagine? I mean, this is the greatest injustice when you really think about it. This is the greatest injustice ever visited on the citizens of the Republic of Kenya. It has no equal. But that is not all. Raila emphasized to us that this mess was engineered from right at the top. He specifically said, you cannot blame the CSs, you cannot blame the PSs. Yeah, those are just junior people. This was engineered higher than them. Now, think about it. Who is higher in the chain than a PS or a full cabinet secretary? Answer that question for yourself. It would seem that this whole mess was engineered right inside the kitchen cabinet of the President of the Republic of Kenya. If we're to believe Raila, that is precisely what happened. And you see, Raila has got a record of giving information that always, without fail, always proves to be correct. And this is over a period of over 2 decades of giving us information, which nobody else seems to have. Raila has always been proved right, correct, 1000% correct. Yes, governments have always come out initially to deny, and to call Raila all kinds of names, Mganga, I don't know what. But in the end, it has been proven to be true. Now, what is the impact politically of this? In my opinion, this is the last straw that broke the camel's back. If there's any small tiny percentage of supporters of this Kenya Kwanza government and their messes those ones must have disappeared with this latest exam scandal. Exam scandal. Can you imagine that? I don't even believe those words are coming out of my mouth. But that is the reality. Na hapo ndo maendeleo yetu Kenya imetufikisha. So the Kenya Kwisha government is not only about making fake promises all the time. It is also about messing up with things which should not have been touched. Yeah, they should have left the exams to proceed as normal, with the usual printers, with the usual arrangements. But no, some people wanted to make money. That is really what this is all about. And in my opinion, the political repercussions and consequences, because Azimio and Raila have written to several people, including the Catholic churches, the Christian churches. Yeah, you know, the churches have been involved in education in our country for a long time, since even before independence. And to parents, and to the Law Society of Kenya, etc., etc. Now, I guarantee you that most of these bodies will respond. And the onslaught that will result on the Kenya Kwanza government, I predict, will be almost unbearable. Because when it comes to our children, that is a very sensitive issue. Yeah? And most people are parents. And most people are horrified about this latest scandal. I just felt that I should make a quick video to highlight this most disgusting, horrible thing that has happened in our country, which has brought out the character of this government that we have in Kenya today. And if there are any doubts, this latest exam scandal has completely put everything in the open for anybody with eyes to see, and for anybody who wants to see it very clearly. And now let us wait for the favorite Kenyan dance. Twist, twist, change the narrative here, change the narrative there. Oh, Raila doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, this particular fact is incorrect, etc., etc. But guess what? This time round, it will not work. It cannot work. In my view, the government is cornered, and cornered completely. But even more sad, very sad, are the broken dreams, broken aspirations of hundreds of thousands of children from the country called Kenya. It is too sad to think about. Even if your own child is not involved, it is too sad to even think about. Now, very quickly before I go, just a reminder for those people who have built a relationship with Kumekucha, those who have been with me for a number of years and therefore would understand about our tradition of gifting me twice a year. Yeah, details are on your screens right now. And I thank you so much in advance for this boost. That is always a great help to your favorite channel and to the work I do, all for a better Kenya, even despite the current almost impossible circumstances. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.